Why did you quit modeling so young? You felt that, hey, I don't need to do this. I can become a producer?
Yeah, I felt like I was doing my talk show. You know, I was doing America's Next Top Model, and I felt like...
Whose idea was America's Next Top Model?
100% mine. I created it.
You created the show?
100%.
It's like the American Idol of modeling.
Name a more iconic reality TV duo from the early 2000s than Tyra Banks and Manuel. Seriously, we'll wait. On America's Next Top Model, they were the perfect creative pair. Tyra, the unstoppable force both in front of the camera and behind the scenes, and Jay, the genius creative director who made every photo shoot feel like a magazine spread. Fans loved watching them, assuming they were inseparable both on and off screen. But then something changed. Suddenly, the friendship that seemed unshakable wasn't. Emails went unanswered, conversations disappeared, and what started as a partnership built on trust and creativity became a silence that lasted years. So what really happened between these two? Why did their friendship crumble? And where do they stand today, nearly a decade after the camera stopped rolling? The answers are as surprising as the rise and fall of the show itself, and they're finally being revealed in the new Netflix documentary, Reality Check, Inside America's Next Top Model. Before they were estranged, Tyra Banks and Manuel were unstoppable together. Jay didn't start as a star. He was Tyra's makeup artist, quietly crafting the looks that would make her shine on every runway and magazine cover. But as Tyra dreamed up America's Next Top Model, she saw something more in him, a creative mind capable of transforming her vision into a full-blown television phenomenon. That's when Jay stepped into the role of creative director, responsible for designing the photo shoots, guiding the models, and shaping the aesthetic that would define the show. Alongside Tyra, Nigel Barker, and Miss J, Jay became part of an inner circle that fans never got to see. Behind the scenes, they weren't just colleagues. They were friends. They hung out together, celebrated the premiere of the first season, and shared the kind of bond only people working toward a common dream can understand. Every episode reflected that chemistry, the witty banter, the careful critiques, the mutual respect. For a time, it seemed like nothing could shake their connection. But as the show grew bigger, more demanding, and more high-profile, the pressures behind the scenes started to test even the strongest of friendships. And what happened next would shock everyone who thought their partnership was unbreakable. After 8 cycles of America's Next Top Model, Manuel started feeling something he hadn't expected, a sense of disconnection. The show he helped build, the creative playground that once energized him, suddenly felt foreign. ANTM had evolved in a way I had never expected, he admits. I didn't recognize myself on TV anymore. For months, he wrestled with the decision to leave. He described it as torturing himself, weighing loyalty against the need to step away. Eventually, he wrote Tyra a long, heartfelt email explaining his choice to quit. And her response? 3 days later, a single, cold sentence. I am disappointed. The dynamic between them shifted immediately. Jay stayed on for another cycle at Tyra's request, but behind the cameras, things were different. Tyra would still ask his opinion on models on air, but off screen? Silence. No conversation. No reassurance. Just a wall that seemed to grow higher with every passing day. It was the first clear crack in a friendship that had once seemed invincible. And that silence wasn't just awkward. It would mark the beginning of a divide that neither would fully bridge for years.
I cannot get this one wrong. Shoot, wait. No. Dang, I don't know. Nobody's gonna trust any bra or panty that I ever sold. Hey, what's up? Tyra Banks here. And I'm about...
Eventually, the inevitable happened. Manuel stayed on ANTM until cycle 18 in 2012, but the writing was on the wall. Along with Nigel Barker and Miss J, he was let go from the show, a decision Tyra says she didn't make herself. According to her and producer Ken Mock, it was the network head at the time, Mark Pedowitz, who suggested the shakeup, replacing the other judges and effectively ending an era. For fans, it was shocking. The trio had become synonymous with ANTM, shaping not just the competition, but the culture of the show. Behind the scenes, however, the departure was more than a job loss. It was a final separation, the professional curtain falling on friendships that had once felt unbreakable. Even after leaving, Jay didn't speak much about the fallout, choosing instead to reflect privately on the highs and lows of his time with Tyra. But as years passed, the absence of communication spoke louder than any public statement could. The people who had laughed, collaborated, and celebrated together on set were now on completely different paths, and the world could only wonder why. And just when it seemed like the story had ended, the pandemic reignited a global fascination with the show, and with the untold chapters of Jay and Tyra's relationship. Once the camera stopped rolling, Manuel didn't disappear. He reinvented himself. For years, he stayed mostly out of the spotlight, quietly building a life beyond ANTM. Then, in 2020, the world rediscovered the show during the pandemic, and fans couldn't get enough. Jay stepped back into the conversation, revealing new chapters of his story. During that time, he announced he was writing a novel inspired by his experiences on the show, titled The Wig, The Bitch, and The Meltdown. It wasn't just fiction. It was a window into the chaos, creativity, and drama behind the scenes of a cultural phenomenon. Around this same period, he admitted that he and Tyra had exchanged the occasional email over the years, but their last face-to-face meeting had been in 2017. Reflecting on their bond, Jay didn't hide the sadness. To be very honest, we really have no relationship to speak of, which is really sad. Our time together on ANTM was amazingly productive and at times magical. We got to experience being part of a global phenomenon. Even with years gone by, the silence between them lingered. Fans wondered if it was resentment, distance, or just life moving in different directions. But as Jay revealed more, it became clear. Despite the absence of contact, he still carried respect and admiration for the woman who had changed his life forever. And yet, the question remained, could two people who created magic together ever reconnect? Or was their story destined to remain unfinished? Fast forward to 2026, and the truth about Tyra and Jay's relationship is finally coming into focus. According to Jay, the two still aren't in communication. Yet, there's no bitterness, just a quiet, mutual respect. Even though we don't speak, I have a level of understanding and respect for her history, he shared in a recent interview. What about that phone call Tyra once hinted at, the one she said they should have? Jay is still waiting. No, I don't think she would call. But you know what? I would be absolutely ready to sit down with her, he admitted. I'm in a very healed space now, so if she wanted to sit down and have tea, I would do it. Despite the distance, Jay refuses to cast Tyra as the villain. He acknowledges her immense impact on his life. My life was changed for good because of her, and I don't want people to think of her as a villain because I don't, at all. It's a complicated mix of admiration, lingering sadness, and the unspoken tension that comes from years of shared history. Fans may have hoped for a dramatic fallout, but the reality is far more nuanced, a reminder that even the closest partnerships can evolve, and sometimes silence speaks louder than words. And yet, while their friendship remains paused, the story of their connection and the questions it raises continues to captivate
70 countries,
audiences.
and then we have the international version. So we have like Germany's Next Top Model. Heidi Klum hosts that version.
Right.
We have Canada's Next Top Model. Mr. J from America's Next Top Model hosts that one.
Do you hire all
Elle
those people?
McPherson hosts the British one. No.
Even as Jay reflects on the past, Tyra Banks remains a figure shrouded in both mystery and influence. In the Netflix documentary, she refused to comment on the feud, only calling Jay a special man and leaving fans wondering what really went unsaid between them. Her silence adds another layer to the story, a reminder that Tyra has always controlled her narrative, both on-screen and off. Rumors of an ANTM comeback have circulated for years. Back in 2018, while promoting Life Size 2, Tyra teased the possibility of reviving the show for a final all-star cycle, potentially bringing back fan-favorite models from previous seasons. If it happens, it would mark the first new episode since Cycle 24 aired on VH1 in 2018. ANTM's legacy is undeniable. For nearly 2 decades, the show launched countless modeling careers, offered huge prizes, magazine spreads, and brand endorsements with names like CoverGirl and Guess, and became a cultural phenomenon around the world. But behind that glitz and glamour, the reality of creative conflicts, personal sacrifices, and unspoken tensions reminds fans that even iconic shows come at a human cost. And with Jay and Tyra still out of touch, the question lingers. If ANTM returns, will their paths finally cross again? Or will the silence between them remain one of the show's most enduring mysteries? Fans online have been speculating for years about what really happened between Tyra and Jay. Some rumors suggest creative differences may have driven a wedge between them, with Jay allegedly frustrated by the show's evolution and Tyra's increasing control over production. Others hint at personal tensions, suggesting that what started as a close friendship simply couldn't survive the pressures of fame, high-stakes television, and constant public scrutiny. There's also chatter about behind-the-scenes disagreements over cycles and casting decisions. Some fans believe Jay felt sidelined during later seasons, while Tyra's refusal to publicly discuss the fallout has only fueled curiosity. Even in the Netflix documentary, where Jay opens up, Tyra's silence leaves viewers wondering if there's a deeper story we'll never fully know. While none of this is confirmed, it keeps audiences fascinated. The speculation highlights a larger truth. Sometimes the most compelling drama isn't what happens on screen. It's what remains unsaid, locked in private conversations, emails, and unspoken feelings. And for Tyra and Jay, that drama may never truly end, leaving fans to piece together the story from fragments, interviews, and their own imagination.